My reading is from the book The Great Flood, the Machinist book by Eddie Benai. I hope any American Indian in hearing distance will forgive my pronunciation. Most of the religions of the world have some version or another of the Great Flood. Ours of Noah and the Ark, of course. But this is the Ojibwe version that I will be reading. Although life was often hard for them, for many years, the first people lived together in harmony for all of creation. But this harmonious way of life on earth didn't last forever. Men and women did not continue to give each other the respect needed to keep the sacred hoop of marriage strong. Families began quarreling with each other. And finally, villages began arguing back and forth, and people began to fight over hunting grounds. Brothers turned against brothers, and people began killing each other. It greatly saddened the creator, Gitche Manito, to see the Earth's people turn to evil ways. It seemed that the entire creation functioned in harmony, except for the people who were not last to be placed there. For a long time, Gitche Manito waited, hoping that the evil ways would cease and that brotherhood, sisterhood, and respect for all things would come to rule over the people. When it seemed that there was no hope left, Gitche Manito decided to purify the earth. He would do this with water. The water came like a Mishkoan flood upon the earth, the Akai. The flood came so fast that it caught the entire creation off guard, and most all living things were drowned immediately. But some of the animals were able to keep swimming, trying to find a small bit of land which to rest. Some of the birds were caught in the air and had to keep flying in order to stay alive. But the purification of the earth with water appeared to be complete. All the evil that had built up in the hearts of the first people had been washed away. But how could life on Mother Earth begin anew? There are many Ojibwe teachings that refer to a man named Wanabuhu. Most of the elders agree that Wanabuhu was not really a man, but a spirit who had many adventures during the early years of the earth. Some people say that Wanabuhu provided the link through which the human form was gradually given to the spiritual beings of the earth. Everyone agrees that Wanabuhu had many human-like characteristics. He made mistakes, just like we did. But he also learned from his mistakes so that he could accomplish things and become better at living in the harmony with the earth. These things that Wanabuhu learned were later to become very useful to Indian people, and he has been looked upon as a kind of hero by the Ojibwe. The teaching about how a new earth was created after the Great Flood is one of the classic Wanabuhu stories. It tells of how Wanabuhu managed to save himself by resting on a log that was floating on the vast expanse of water that covered Mother Earth. As he floated along on this log, some of the animals that were able to keep swimming came to rest. They would rest for a while and then let another swimming animal take their place. It was the same way with the winged creatures. They would take turns resting on the log and flying. It was through this kind of sacrifice and concern for one another that Wanabuhu and large group of birds and four-legged lizards were able to, four-legged leggeds were able to save themselves on the great log. They floated for a long time, but could not gain sight of land. Finally, Wenabuhu spoke to the animals. I'm going to do something, he said. I'm going to swim to the bottom of the water and grab a handful of earth. And with this small earth, I believe we can create a new land for us to live on with the help of the four winds and Gitche Manito. And so Wenabuhu dived into the water. He was gone for a long time. Some of the animals began to cry, but they thought that Wenabuhu must have drowned trying to reach the bottom. At last, the animals caught sight of some bubbles of air, and finally, Wenabuhu came to the top of the water. Some of the animals helped him onto the log, and Wenabuhu was so out of breath he could not speak at first. And when he regained his strength, he spoke to the animals. The water is too deep. I never reached the bottom. I cannot swim fast enough or hold my breath long enough to make it to the bottom. All the animals on the log were silent for a long time. Mahug the loon, who was swimming alongside the log, was the first to speak. I can dive under the water for a long ways, for that is the way I reach my food. I will try to dive to the bottom and get some of the earth in my hand, in my beak. The loon dived out of sight and was gone for a long time. The other animals felt sure that he had drowned, but the loon floated to the top of the water. He was very weak and out of breath. I couldn't make it, he gasped. There appears to be no bottom to this water. And this next Zingiblis, the Geb, came forth. I will try to swim to the bottom, he said. I am known to dive at great lengths. The hell diver was gone for a very long time, and when the animals in Wenabuhu were about to give up, they saw that the creature's body came floating to the top. He was unconscious, and Wenabuhu had to pull him onto the log and help him regain his breath. And when the grave came to, he spoke to all the animals on the log. I'm very sorry, my brothers and sisters. I too could not reach the bottom, although I swam for a long way straight down. Many of the animals offered themselves to do the task that was so important to the future of all life on Earth. Zangaz, the mink, tried, but he could not make it to the bottom. And the jig, the otter, tried and failed. Even Maziki, the turtle, tried, but unsuccessful. All seemed hopeless. It appeared that the water was so deep that no living thing could reach the bottom. And then a soft, muffled voice was heard. I'll try it, it said softly. At first, no one could see who it was that spoke. The little was Nush, the muskrat, stepped forth. I'll try, he said, and again some of the animals laughed and poked each other. The hell diver jeered. If I couldn't make it, how could he expect to do any better? Wanabuzo spoke. Hold it, everyone. It is not our place to judge the means of others, and that task belongs to the Creator. If little muskrat wants to try, I feel we should let him. The muskrat dived down and disappeared from view. He was gone for such a long time that Wanabuzu and all the animals on the log were certain that Muskrat had given up his life in trying to reach the bottom. The muskrat was able to make it to the bottom of the water. He was very weak from lack of air, but he grabbed some earth in his paw, and with every last bit of strength that he could muster, Muskrat pushed away from the bottom. One of the animals on the log caught sight of Muskrat as he floated in the water surface. They pulled his body onto the log. Wanabuhu examined the muskrat. Brothers and sisters, he said, our little brother tried to go without air for too long. He is dead. A song of mourning and praise was heard all over the water as Wasung's spirit passed into the next world. Wanabuhu spoke again. Look, Muskrat has something in his paw. It's closed tight around something. And Wanabuzu carefully pried open Muskrat's tiny paw. All of the animals gathered around trying to see. Muskrat's paw opened, and there, in a little ball, was a piece of earth. All the animals cheered. Muskrat had sacrificed his life so that life could begin again on the earth. Wanabuzu took the piece of earth from Muskrat's paw, and at that moment, the turtle came forward and said, use my back to bear the weight of this new earth. And with the help of the Creator, we can make a new earth. And Wanabuzi put the piece of earth on the turtle's back, and all of a sudden, the wind began to blow, and the wind blew from each of the directions. And the tiny piece of earth on the turtle's back began to grow. Larger and larger it became until it formed an island in the water. And still the earth grew, and still the turtle bore its weight on its back. Wanabuzu began to sing a song, and all of the animals began to dance in a circle on the growing island. And as he sang, they danced in an ever-widening circle. And finally, the wind ceased to blow, and the waters became still, and a huge island sat in the middle of the great water. Today, traditional Indian people sing special songs and dance in a circle in memory of this event. Indian people also give special honor to our brother, the turtle. He bore the weight of the new earth on his back and made life possible for the earth people. I can't read more, but interesting, another thing that happened in the story is a crow with part of a piece of ear of corn in his beak flew over and dropped the corn, and the Indian people on the log used it as a new earth to plant it for food. Namaste.